My alcoholic wife wanted full custody of our daughter and started making up lies about me to get it, so I exposed her for who she really was. I was woken up on my daughter's 5th birthday by her jumping on me and hugging me. Daddy, Daddy, wake up, she repeated. She had always wanted me to join her for a princess tea party, so I bought her an adult princess costume with one of her gifts. What is it, Daddy? She asked. Well, to go to a princess tea party, I have to be a princess, right? Her eyes lit up and she practically squeezed me into the dress herself. She was so excited. We made iced tea and she kept giggling, saying it was the best birthday ever. It couldn't get any better. I had so much fun celebrating her birthday with her, but at the end of the day, as I was putting her to bed, she gave me a big hug and said, "Please don't go, Daddy." I told her stories until she fell asleep. But later that night, as I burst into tears, the truth was that my alcoholic wife and I were getting a divorce. She wanted full custody of our daughter, and I knew she would stop at nothing to get it. You see, my wife's brother, Rachel, was the lawyer who represented her in the custody battle. Matt had never lost a case, ever. Matt took on this case for a woman who was a complete disaster. She had a history of alcohol abuse, no job, and lived in a shitty part of town. She had 3 kids and their dad was trying to get full custody. This guy was your perfect dad on paper. He had a great 9-to-5 job, made good money, and lived in a nice apartment. The only problem was his apartment wasn't big enough for all 3 kids. Everyone thought the dad would have no problem getting custody. But then Matt stepped in. He started picking apart the dad's case. He brought in witnesses to testify about how the mother was turning her life around and how much she loved her kids. He portrayed her as a heroine, fighting her demons for her kids. But the craziest thing was that Matt somehow managed to turn her addiction into a plus. He argued that her past struggles had made her more empathetic and determined to protect her children from going down the same path. He convinced the court that her mother's difficult life had made her a stronger, more loving parent. Against all odds, Matt won the case. The mother got custody of the children. Knowing all this, I was terrified. If Matt could win a case like this, what chance did I have? But I knew I had to fight for my daughter Lily, no matter how good Matt was. Rachel lied through her teeth during the court hearings. She said I was drunk all the time and couldn't take care of Lily. Meanwhile, Rachel was the one with the drinking problem. She spun this whole story about me as this irresponsible, erratic drunk. Then she accused me of abusing her throughout our marriage. She told the court that I was verbally abusive and that I was making her life miserable. None of it was true. But she had this heartbreaking story already made, fake tears and all. She made herself out to be the victim. Rachel even went so far as to say that I was neglecting Lily. She made it sound like I was some kind of neglectful, careless father who didn't care about his own daughter. The worst part was that Matt supported her. He twisted every piece of evidence and every statement to make me look bad. He brought in so-called witnesses who claimed to have seen me drunk or heard me, but her testimony was needed. We sat in the courtroom and Lily was called as a witness. After the judge asked her a few questions, it was her turn to speak. Lily said, "I love my daddy so much. He's the best daddy in the world. He cooks me good food every day, reads me bedtime stories every night. I want to stay with daddy." When the judge asked about her mother, she said, "Mommy loves me too, but she doesn't like to play with dolls with me. She sleeps a lot and I can't wake her up, and sometimes she gets mad and screams, but daddy never screams." Lily's innocence and honesty were heartbreaking. She didn't understand all the legalese, but she knew what it was like to feel cared for and loved. Her testimony was simple, but incredibly powerful. When Lily left the witness stand and came back to sit with me, I gave her a big hug and told her how proud I was of her. Her words cut through all the lies. They were something Matt couldn't fake. It was a turning point in the case, and it gave me hope. The judge took everything into account, including Rachel's demeanor in court and Lily's testimony. Meanwhile, Rachel's desperation had driven her to more extreme measures. She had faked her injuries and claimed that I was the one who had harmed her, but her lies were beginning to unravel. The inconsistencies in her stories were exposed. My lawyer played tapes of phone conversations I had had with Rachel. In those tapes, Rachel's true nature came out. You could hear her slurring her words, her irrational screams, and her threats. The real breakthrough came when my lawyer showed photos and videos of Rachel showing up drunk on supervised visits. There she was, in front of the entire court, staggering and incoherent. He played the entire video. I looked at Rachel as she looked at herself, making a scene. She slumped and tried to make herself look smaller. Rachel's face went white as the evidence was presented. She tried to pause and explain the tapes and photographs, but it was clear to everyone in the courtroom that her facade was cracking. The final blow came when my lawyer called one of Rachel's friends to the stand. This friend reluctantly admitted that Rachel had a serious drinking problem and often confided in her, telling her how she felt bad at times about manipulating the court case. She even mentioned how Rachel laughed at how she had turned my own parents against me. The courtroom was silent as the weight of this testimony settled. Rachel's lawyer, her brother Matt, looked visibly agitated for the first time. He was trying to regain control, but the damage was done. The judge looked at Rachel with disapproval. Rachel began to lash out. She made desperate attempts to deny the evidence, but her stories were too inconsistent. She kept getting caught in her lies. She claimed the tapes were fake, the photos staged, but her arguments were weak and desperate. The judge paused and said the evidence showed a pattern of instability and dishonesty that could not be ignored. It was music to my ears. Rachel's lies were unraveling before her eyes, and there was nothing she could do about it. For the first time, I felt a small glimmer of hope that Lily might be able to stay with me. My lawyer also shared moments of my life with Lily, including photos of our hikes, her school achievements, and our quiet evenings reading. The judge was beginning to see through Rachel's lies and manipulations. This last court session felt tense. Rachel's brother was once again trying to paint me as an unfit father, but the evidence against Rachel was too much to ignore. The judge called a recess and took time to review all the evidence and testimony. As I sat in the hallway, the only thing that calmed my nerves was the picture Lily had drawn of the two of us. I felt a small hand slip into mine. I looked down and saw Lily. She told me that everything would be okay. I had been telling her this all along, and now she was trying to comfort me in the same way. The judge came back and everyone filed into the courtroom again. He acknowledged the difficulty of the situation and the emotional impact it had on everyone involved. He then turned to Rachel and me. He then said that after careful consideration, it was clear that I had acted in Lily's best interests and that she had been awarded the case. The courtroom erupted in chaos as Rachel began screaming and yelling. The judge's gavel banged loudly. I felt an overwhelming sense of relief and joy. I dropped to my knees and hugged Lily tightly. I began to cry and Lily wiped my tears away. She looked at me and asked if she would see her mother again. I told her that she would be able to see her whenever she wanted, as long as I was there. We drove home in silence. Upon arrival, I started making dinner while Lily played with her dolls. Over dinner, she asked me with her big, innocent eyes if everything would be okay. I told her that we would be more than okay. I told her that we would be happy. She smiled and we enjoyed the rest of the dinner. We had each other and that was enough. The following weeks were fairly routine. I took time off from work to spend more time with Lily and help her get used to our new routine. We went for long walks, visited the park, and spent hours reading stories and playing games. One evening, as Lily and I were cozying up on the couch watching a movie, she looked at me seriously. She asked why her mother didn't want to be with us, and I had a hard time finding the right words. I explained that her mother was going through a tough time and that she loved Lily very much, but couldn't take care of her the way she needed to right now. Lily nodded. She told me how glad she was to have me as her father and snuggled closer to me. I knew there would be tough days ahead, but I also knew that we would get through them together. Every year on Lily's birthday, we would continue our special tradition of having tea with the princesses. It was something we did together. Fast forward a few years after the custody battle, and Lily comes home from school one day with the biggest smile on her face. She had won an award for being the best reader in her class. I was so proud of her. She ran to her room and came back with this shiny certificate. She was so excited that she hung it on her wall. I picked up the frame and we hung it together. Looking at that certificate, I couldn't help but think about our journey. Life had settled into this happy routine. I was working again, juggling my job and being a full-time dad. It wasn't always easy, but every challenge was worth it just to see Lily happy. She was doing well in school, making friends, and growing more confident every day. It was all proof that we were doing well, proof that we